This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Buzz. I'm very excited to be speaking with Lucia Aniello and Jen Statsky about season 3 of Hacks. How are you both doing today?
We're good. How are you?
Good, good. I'm excited to be talking to you guys again. I talked to you before the show started, and I think Jen, we spoke on the red carpet at South by Southwest.
Yes, I
Um,
remember. Yeah. Yeah.
so, first question: what was it like to see the show with a live audience like that?
It was awesome. It'd been 2 years since the show had last been on the air. So I think we were, wanting to, it was so nice to see with a live audience because we were a little bit, not, I wouldn't say concerned, but the feeling, of course, is especially the way that we ended second season is, is the audience does it still feel like something people are excited to see? And it was such an amazing crowd, and it was so fun to hear something that you're like, I think this is funny, but to hear a huge theater of people responding was like, oh, it was amazing. It was one of the best days of my life.
How's that? That's pretty good. And she's had a good life.
Things have always
not
happened.
nothing. No, but it's also like we started this show, making it during like deep COVID.
Yeah.
And so like we never got to have a season 1 premiere. And like it feels like as lucky as the show's been, and we feel so grateful that it's been received the way it has. Like there were some like milestones we didn't get to do because of that. So this kind of felt, I don't know, it felt like a real long time coming to see it with this many people and this like receptive a crowd, and it was really lovely.
Dare I say homecoming?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, my only note is that it was actually hard to hear some of the dialogue without like captions on at home because people were laughing over the next line. And it's definitely timed at its rapid fire pace for home watching rather than an audience.
I know, and I thought, you know what? Hopefully, this inspires people to go home and watch it. I miss some of it.
That's true. So, how much of this did you have already mapped out from the very beginning? Did you know where a theoretical season 3 might go?
Yeah, like, we've said this before, but when we pitched the show, we kind of had 5 seasons planned out and we have an arc for where we know the show is going to end. And so, definitely we had ideas of what kind of in the middle Deborah's goal would be and where it would go. And then, but it wasn't, the tentpoles of the season weren't like perfectly figured out beforehand. But then when we started diving into season 3, when it was officially greenlit, that's when we were like, okay, these are the tentpole moments throughout this season we want to hit.
But we did mostly know it would be about her striving for this late night job. Yeah.
I like that intro of just following, her walking and it's not actually her. And I think that just, it's like, we're back, we're here, and you didn't necessarily expect us, but we're not going anywhere. And I think a perfect way to launch a season after so long off the air, because I think these days, especially with COVID and the strikes, you wonder whether shows that have been renewed will ever even come back. And fortunately, I think this one is Emmy caliber, et cetera, that there's not too much of a risk of that, but it's still just nice to know it's still living and breathing.
Yeah, we try to, be self-referential, but also subvert expectations. And so that's kind of was the inspiration for that opening shot.
What did you feel was especially new for this season, something that you hadn't really tried before that you're like, we've done it 2 seasons, we know it's good, here's what we're going to go for this time?
Well, for an example, I think the 5th episode, One Day, is, where the two of them are going on a kind of an epic hike. Was a bit of a departure for us, both storytelling wise and visually. I think it's just like, there's a lot more oneers, it's a little bit more patient. And I think that's something that we probably wouldn't have done season 1. But really, the whole season is building towards the finale, Bulletproof, which I don't know when is this coming out?
After all that, don't worry.
Okay, so
let's talk spoilers, full spoilers.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, I think that's an example of something we wouldn't have done season 1, but I think that, for us, so much of it is about Deborah and Ava's relationship and what they mean to each other and what they think they owe to each other. And so much of the season is really about building up towards the finale, Bulletproof. And I think the performances, especially in that living room scene, feel to me like something that the whole series has been leading up to and earning, where they really, I think, let their true, freak flags fly, as it were. And, Ava's so open and emotional and Deborah's so closed off. And I think it's just, I think that's a scene that is, I don't know, it just feels like the performances are so incredible. I don't know if that answers your question, but.
Yeah, Gene and Hannah are really locked into their performances in such a crazy way in that scene, and I think it's only the kind of acting you get when you've lived in these characters for so long and you've had the show on for 3 seasons now. So yeah, it feels like it all builds to that nicely.
Yeah, and I love that ending just because I think it's so much like flipping, the script for when Deborah said that she was suing her and was like, I'm still suing, whatever. And then this is like just it's all the amount of time that they get so much and they say so much. This is remarkably few words, and it's still just so like to the point that we know exactly what's happening.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I actually had a couple more words that we ended up cutting out
Yeah.
actually. Because we felt like it was the move itself is all you needed, and the expression, Deborah's expression and reaction is, I mean, they say a picture says whatever words, a thousand words, and so I think even just a couple of frames of Deborah's face, Gene's face, and reaction says all more than anything we could write.
There are some great guest stars in this season also, and I just want to touch on 2 of them, Christina Hendricks and Christopher Lloyd. For Christina, I just am curious where that came from, and Christopher, just the excitement of getting him for this role.
Yeah, I mean, so Christina, we're huge Mad Men fans, and so have been a fan of hers for years and years. And we came up with this storyline that we thought was very funny of Ava kind of morally wrestling with being attracted to someone who perhaps doesn't have the same values and beliefs as she does. And then it going to a place of talking about being pissed on and
normal stuff
and yeah, I mean, Christina, we were like, oh my god, if we could get her to play this part, that would be so wonderful, because she's so funny and she's such a good actor, and she's so good at playing like high status, like really intimidating characters. So it was, that to us was the perfect person to do it, and we were thrilled when she said yes.
Yeah, and Christopher Lloyd, we actually wrote that part with him in mind. So the fact that he actually said yes was like so amazing. We were like, oh my God, he's coming. But we wanted to play like, we didn't want to play like a one note, like eccentric weirdo. Like we wanted it to kind of seem like maybe he was odd, but like, he's also so lovely and charming. And we knew that Christopher Lloyd just was that. So it wasn't going to be a stretch to have him play that part, but he's also so funny. And I think the chemistry with him and Deidre Hall was so fun. I don't know, it was just like, especially when you're kind of crafting a Christmas episode, I think you're very like, wanting to make sure that it delivers on feeling, because it can be such an emotional time. So I don't know, there was just something about it that felt funny and warm and homey. I don't know, but he's great.
It was great. I also like that there's not like some huge shoe to drop at some point, that it just things do sort of work out. Like it feels like somebody's gonna get murdered or something's gonna happen, and then it's just like, no, it's not even bad. It ultimately just all turns out great.
He's just a sweet, lonely guy. Yeah.
Nice. So is the plan still pending renewals, season 4 and 5, and that's it?
I mean, listen, you plan and God laughs. That's the phrase, right? We are so excited to do more of this show. We love this show. We have a plan, and yeah, pending renewals, we want to keep doing it. And who knows if something happens that makes us say, oh, season 6, we got it. But we're taking it day by day.
Yeah.
Right now.
I know that your creative partner Paul is not here because I'm going to talk to him separately since he's on the show in front of the camera.
Yes.
Are either of you thinking about showing up as a character at some point on the show, or that's still off the
Never
table?
say never. Never say never.
Only one of us acts, and it's not me. So don't hold
She
your.
did a cameo. She did a cameo on Parks and Rec. So.
But
no,
but
on
a
Good Place.
Yeah, but don't hold your breath for me. I'll say. But yeah,
I'm always camera ready.
I'll ask him this also, but do you feel like him being on the show like that changes the dynamic in terms of how you guys work together?
Really? I mean,
really no.
He's never like trying to angle to be on the show more. If anything, he's like, he wants to be on it less, and we push for him to be on it more. So I think the only way that's kind of an advantage is he can sometimes like start like
improvising in the room. Yeah.
And that makes it a lot easier to write. But we all tend to sometimes do Jimmy,
Yeah.
drop into the character too, so, but no,
I think we all like, have to wear different hats, like writer, producer for me. So it's like when I'm in the room, trying not to be too like, no, we can't do that budget wise. And then she is obviously writer, director, Paul's writer, director, actor. But I think like you kind of have to take each part of the process and just like dedicate yourself to that specific part.
Yeah.
So it really like, it only helps that he's on the show for him to be in the room, but it doesn't really affect it because I think we're good at like differentiating our
Yeah.
roles.
we have enough to do that we can't put ourselves much in the future,
Yeah.
even as somebody who directs a lot of it, I'm not trying to like be like, well, this is how we will shoot this, or like, I'm just like, we'll deal with that later.
Writing's hard enough.
Exactly, I'm like, that's her future me's problem.
That's the director's problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's me, but.
Yeah.
Well, at Awards Buzz, we're big fans of anything awards related, and I'm curious if either of you are watching show or performance recently that you think is particularly awards worthy, other than Hacks, obviously.
I'm watching George and Mary, and I'm absolutely loving Julianne Moore and Nicholas Galstein. That's how you say it. Galstein. I'm loving that show. Is there buzz? Is there awards buzz around that show? There should be.
I hope so. I think it's great. I think it's also a lot like The Great, which I loved, and so it's nice to see another sexually charged comedic historical epic like that.
Yeah, it's slightly less comedic, but it also is really funny, but like in a slightly different way. I love it. It's great. I can't wait for the finale to drop. I'm waiting.
I'm watching The Jinx Part 2, and
Mm.
I don't want Robert Durst to get an Emmy, but I think it's a very well-made documentary, and I'm still interested in the story, which is hard to do for like when there's already been a popular documentary series,
Right.
and then you come back for a second part. But it's a lot going on with that guy.
What should we be watching that we're not?
Yeah.
There's so much great stuff. The most popular answer I've gotten recently is Baby Reindeer. I don't know if you've seen that
Oh,
yet.
I did. Okay, I should have said that. I did also start that, and I
We like different answers. Doesn't have to always be the same. That's just
No,
what's
I like hearing.
Yeah,
No.
Baby Reindeer's it's well made. I like it.
Mm.
And a
good
crazy,
stuff, but-
crazy true story. Sadly.
But I really
seen her talk on Piers Morgan, and she was saying it was not true, but I don't know who to believe. I also haven't seen the show, so.
Wait, the stalker said it's not true?
Yeah, she was like, I didn't stalk him, but I think she should, well, whatever, pitch it another time.
You should do her version, but.
Okay, girl power.
I'll let them know who to
I
call.
haven't seen it.
Awesome. Well, it's always fun talking Hacks. I'm really excited for everybody to see the end of season 3 and to hear news about season 4, 5, and who knows after that.
Great. Thanks, Ava.
Thanks so much, guys.
Bye.